Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be showing you a game between supposedly two 1900s, but they played like a total 200 ELO players. This game was insanely bad, and there's a lot of things that you can learn from in this game. The game started with the move d4, and we have knight f6 and c4. Very common stuff. And now we see the move e5, which is not that common. Most people here with the black pieces, they decide to play maybe e6, try to get out with the bishop when white plays knight c3. It's called the Nimzo Indian. Black can play g6 and bishop here and pawn here. King's Indian defense can go for something like a d5. Can go for something like this, the Slav defense. A lot of stuff. But e5 is not that common, and it's actually bad if you know exactly what you're doing with the white pieces, of course. And the best move here in this position is to take the pawn. Black will push the knight here, will attack the pawn, will add some pressure there. If white develops the knight, defending the pawn, bishop goes here, adding some threats here, or yeah, getting out with the bishop and then getting out with the bishop here to attack, and then getting the knight out trying to attack this pawn, and a black will castle. So you can see that this opening, even though it loses a pawn, but first of all, this pawns are doubled, okay? And black has a lot of activity with the knights, and the king is safe with just a couple of moves. So it is a valid opening. It's not a terrible opening, but it's not been played, at the very high level. This is why a very high level chess player here played d5. Yeah, the best moves to take. But he played d5 because he was like, nah, I've seen this before when you do this and stuff, and I lose. So he decided to not play, d takes e5. He pushed the pawn, trying to take more control of the squares. And now we see the move bishop to f5, clearly trying to set up some knight e4 or knight g4 to attack this pawn twice. Yeah, this plan is stupid, and black should not go for it. And white should not be afraid of it. White should be playing like a move like e3, stopping the knight from getting in, blocking the bishop, and getting the knight out, pushing the pawn, trying to get the bishop out and the queen out. A lot of good moves here for white. He played knight c3, which is a valid move. It's not a terrible move. It's not a horrific move. It's not. Now we see the move knight to g4. Now this is a 1900 ELO chess player played this very silly, very dumb kind of an attack. This never works in the beginner level. This guy wants to make it work in the 1900 ELO level, which is kind of insane to me. I move here, e3. You can tell black to, F off. Because now the knight is attacked, the knight needs to move back. Move, that's number one. Number two, black helped white to get the bishop out without even having to waste time. So this move was a horrific move because of the move e3. Blocks any kind of attack, attacks his knight, and the knight needs to go back, and the bishop will be out, knight will be out, and white will enjoy this game. It's a really good position for white. But of course, you're not here to see white play e3, right? Which is the best move. He decided to go knight to e4. You're like, oh, I'm defending the pawn, and I'm attacking the bishop. I'm very smart. Well, bishop went back, and now white needs to kick this knight away. Like 100% needs to kick the knight away. Because what black is now threatening, black is still threatening this capture on f2 to fork the rook and fork the queen, but the knight is defending. So this is very simple calculation. If you want this to work, you have to attack the defender of what's stopping it to work, so which is the knight. So a very common move is the move, a very reasonable move is the move f5 to attack the knight, and when the knight moves somewhere, white will lose a rook or the queen. Very simple, right? And he needed to attack the knight so that when black attacks his knight, he can take this knight, and after takes, it will be fine. So white was supposed to go here. After a move like this, takes, and this is the game. Or after this, he can move back with the knight and trade, and that's still fine. Yes, it's fine because he can play e3, and there's nothing there. That was what white's supposed to do. It was supposed to play h3. Yeah. White decided to play bishop to d2. I have no explanation of this move. None. Zero. I don't know what he was afraid of. Like the bishop here, check. You can always block it with the bishop. So bishop to d2 makes zero sense. Zero sense. And now I told you about the idea of trying to make this work. Yes, you are completely right. It is the move f5, and now the knight needs to move. And when the knight moves, um, you know, white will lose a rook 100% because of this attack on the queen, and the queen needs to move, and white will lose a rook. So white was like, no. Why would I attack him? Like he could have played maybe like a move like this, c5. And if black took the knight, takes here, yes, black will have a pawn, he will have an open rook, but at least white will not be losing on the spot. Yeah, white did not see this move c5, white did not do anything that is helpful to stop this attack right from the beginning, and he played here bishop to g5. Bishop to g5 thinking that he's super smart, that he actually might force black to go back with the knight, or he will lose his queen. Now, this move was played in under 10 seconds. And this move is horrific. You know why? Because it lacks calculation. White was like, oh, if he takes my knight, I take his queen. He takes back, and we will be fine. That's wrong. The best move in this position, now you might be surprised, you might be thinking about, oh, it has to be knight to f6, because if the knight takes, pawn takes, now the bishop needs to move, and it is equal. Well, no. The best move here for black is to go pawn takes knight. You might be thinking, well, that's just a free queen, right? Well, yes. What white missed that after this check, the king cannot move. So something has to block. You can put the pawn here, but he can always take it. And the queen needs to sacrifice itself. And after bishop takes, king takes bishop, and black is up a piece and a pawn, and black is also threatening to win the pawn on f2. Crazy stuff. Of course, white did not see that, black did not see that, and yeah, bishop to a5, check. Bishop to a5, check. Black was winning after pawn takes knight, but he was like, no, I'm afraid, my queen is attacked, I don't want to go back, and let's play this check. So yeah, bishop went back, and now there's no longer a blunder, because if pawn takes knight, bishop takes here. If bishop takes here, then the knight will take, and now black is no longer winning, and white is no longer losing. So it's back to equal, just from a very, very dumb opening that they played. Bishop takes. Knight takes not to lose the knight, and now we have the move d6. Trying maybe to push the pawn, to get the knight a little bit active, the bishop active, castling, getting the rook there. Very good stuff. Now we see the move knight to f3, developing the knight, so really good. Maybe trying to play e3 and get the bishop out. Now we see knight to d7 and g3. And g3 is fine. You might be thinking it's like really bad to push any pawn in front of the king, especially if you want to castle it. But maybe bishop here is better than bishop there or any kind of diagonal, because these diagonals will not be opening up. So maybe bishop to h3, maybe bishop to g2. Yeah, maybe that was white thinking. After knight to c5 and bishop to g2, trying to clearly castle, black castled and white castled, and now the position is completely equal. There is nothing here. Queen to f6 by black, trying to do something like this, attacking the knight, and when the knight moves, thank you for the pawn, and the queen can always go back, so it will be a free pawn for black if white misses the move e4. So he was like, I'm going to lose the pawn anyway, so let me just push the pawn to b4, attack the knight in the process. So knight went here, knight to e4, and that's actually a very smart move. This move is really good because it's trying to get white to takes, and when the knight moves, because it's attacked by a pawn, the queen, the knight, the rook, all attacking this weak pawn on f2. It's only defended twice. So really good stuff. So of course white was not supposed to take, and he did not take. He moved the queen to e1. Now this move is a waste of time. This move is completely a waste of time. Maybe he thought about like this, but this is nothing, because a rook is not better than two knights. Because I mean, yeah, Giving 2 knights for the rook, it's not a good thing. So white was not even supposed to be afraid of this move for any kind of reason. And he was supposed to do something else, something meaningful in this game. Maybe moving one of the knights to attack this pawn and attack this knight to try to win the pawn. Maybe trying to attack this knight, which is the best move actually, to attack the knight and force the knight back. But yeah, he moved the queen. Black took, queen, and knight takes. I don't know why he did not take with the queen. But he was like, no, I gotta defend this one, even though it's completely defended. And now we see the move bishop to d7. Bishop to d7 makes 0 sense. Maybe just to get the other rook here to e8 and try to push the pawn, creating some kind of a threat on this side. Because the bishop here is nothing. And white decided to play h3, attack the knight. Very smart. Whenever you have a piece, one of your opponent pieces in your territory, kick it away, or if you cannot kick it away, trade it. So white decided to kick it away, even though it's a little bit risky because now the pawns are a little bit weak. The knight went back, and now we see the move. I cannot even explain this move a4. I don't know what he's doing with this move, but maybe he was like, oh, bishop can go there, so let me put the pawn there. He will never go there anymore. Simple ideas. Yes, you might be thinking, what? Like, how are these or just 1900s? Well, yeah. When you get lost in a game of chess, you play less than your actual rating by a lot, actually. Now we see the move f4. Trying to do something that is very smart, opening up some lines, but it's not that smart because you're opening up lines against your queen, but at least it is some kind of an activity. And also, this move weak now gives white this square, so a bishop can go there, and knight can go there, and the knight will never be removed from there. So we have knight to e4 attacking the queen. Queen moved, so now maybe black wants to go takes, or maybe knight takes, and not to get into any kind of trouble on that diagonal. But you can see that the bishop is looking here, the queen is looking here, the knight is closed, the rook is looking there. So yeah, it's a little bit risky for white. And also there's this tactic, which is bishop takes pawn on h3. If bishop takes bishop, there's queen takes knight. And the queen can never be trapped because the queen can go back, and black just won a pawn and also opened up a file against the king, so the rook can easily hop in. Yeah, very good stuff. So white decided to push the pawn to g4 and thinking and telling his opponent, well, yeah, now you have nothing. White wants to play a move like f3, get the queen out to defend himself, and try to escape with the king and get the rook to h1, and now he's completely safe. And now in this position, black decided to go, I don't like these two pawns. They're in front of my queen, in front of my knight, and I don't like it. Let's sacrifice the bishop. Many players, especially at the intermediate level and advanced level, make moves depending on only one aspect. They don't even think about what's going to happen in the future. They're like, okay, I don't like these two pawns. Let me sacrifice a piece to take those two pawns, and maybe I have something then. You can't think in this way. You can never think in this way. You have to be fully aware of what you're doing. Like, let's say, for example, let's say this knight was here. Okay, and this knight was here, and the queen was there. So some kind of sacrifice, and after pawn takes, the knight can go here. So this is a checkmate. So yeah, this is a little bit understandable, even though it can be pushed, and whenever you have this check, it might end up in a draw or something like that. But at least it is a better plan if the knight was there and the queen was there. But this move does nothing. So bishop takes, pawn takes, and we have knight takes. Yeah, knight takes does nothing. Maybe it's very slow. It's very slow because after queen here or queen here, trying to get this checkmate, white could just attack this, try to go back with the knight, try to open up for the queen. A lot of moves for white actually. So it is very slow to do this, and it's also very risky to sacrifice a piece, because the best move here for white not to get crushed, because it's very bad position for white. If he made a mistake, he might end up in a draw or lose, if because black is aiming to go for this. And the best move is to go rook to a3, because whenever the queen gets here, you're like, what's up, bro? What's up? So it's defended by the bishop, and now it's completely safe for white, and black is losing because it gave away a piece for 2 pawns. That's not good. Yeah, there's no way that white saw this. So, and now he played the move f3, and now it is a draw. It is a draw because now after this move, there is this kind of a checkmate threat. So rook to f2, and now there's this fork. The queen moved, knight takes, queen takes. Now you might be thinking how this is a draw. Well, black is only up 1 pawn, and the situation is dead, literally dead. The bishop cannot be like black cannot even double up because the knight is controlling these 2 squares of the rook's infiltration, and the knight can never be removed from there. So yeah, it's gonna be nothing. It's just a draw, unless someone messed it up on this side and magically we have a passer on this side. Now black decided to go, okay, let's play rook to f5, get the rook here, even though it does nothing. Nothing. Really. So now we have the move c5. c5 is a little bit of a mistake because you're not really looking at what your opponent wants. Even though it's not really scary, but it might become scary. So now we have the move rook to h5, trying to do something on this file, but there's nothing. Now we see this move, which is a horrific blunder, king to f1. King to f1 is really bad because it allows a lot of stuff. I mean, the rooks can get in, do the exact same thing. The queen can go here, trying to sacrifice the rook, and after bishop takes, there might be queen takes, and that's actually checkmate. So now we have this move, rook to h2. Black did not see this move, queen there. So now he decided to play rook to h2, attack this bishop, even though it's completely safe and defended. Nothing is happening there. And the best move is to go king g1, attack the rook one more time, and let it go back. Yeah, so now we see the move queen to c3. This move stayed on the same diagonal. The queen cannot get involved. The queen is stuck in this kind of net that it cannot really move away. And this is a very, very bad queen. That's only because he allowed the knight to get in, and then he traded it for the rook. So after queen to c3, now black is, getting a little bit more aggressive, trying to get the rook in, but it's still not so obvious. And now pawn takes, and the knight cannot take. It's defended. So now we have the move queen here, trying to attack this pawn on d6, trying to trade, and then white will be very happy because he has a passer. Yeah, that's a good plan for white. Queen to f5. Queen to f5 by black, even though just a free pawn here. Takes, and the queen moved all the way to h5. So you can see that this kind of a very dumb rotation. The queen could have went there right from the beginning, but yeah. Queen to f5, queen takes pawn, queen there. Maybe now he saw the idea because now he only has 2 minutes. So this move, and white decided to give a check. Black can block, but there's going to be another check, or maybe like some kind of an attack or pin of the rook. So he decided, you know what? Let me just be safe and go into the corner. Nothing is happening there. And here, white was supposed to be smart. Was supposed to get back with the queen. Let me try to trade off the queens and try to deal with this passer to try to push it, because now you have a passer. Just push that passer. But he cannot push it right now because it will be losing. It will be losing after rook sacrifice, bishop takes, and queen takes checkmate. Yeah. So the move that was white supposed to do was to get the queen back, right? And even that's not a smart move, because after this he can still sacrifice. No, after queen here, there's going to be this sacrifice, and after bishop takes, queen takes. Queen takes here. It will be a trade, and white will be winning. So no, it's not losing if white went to g4. And of course, white did not go there because he did not deal with this threat. Because many of us chess players, we don't really we calculate only reasonable moves. We only calculate reasonable moves. Like, oh, maybe if I blade this, he will just move the rook. Or maybe he will start doing something on this side. Or only he's gonna go here, or this, or this. We only think about simple ideas, but we never ever think about sacrifices. And this is the mistake that many intermediate and advanced chess players do. They don't think about all the options because some options are really crazy. Like you might be thinking, well, rook sacrifice, well, he can just take it with the bishop. That's just a free piece. But they don't think about it. So they just eliminate that idea in their brains before they even think about what's going to happen after it. They're like, oh, he will never give away the rook for the bishop. That's very bad. And then he goes for like, okay, let me move my queen here, which is exactly what happened. Queen to e2, queen to e7, attacking the rook. Now, white is threatening checkmate in 1, but black is faster because of rook to h1, and the king can now move. Bishop takes, queen takes, and this is checkmate. The only reason that black lost this game, that white lost this game, is because white did not think about all of the options that black has, even though white has more time than black. You have to think about all the options that your opponent can play, even if they seem very, very, very ridiculous. Very ridiculous. Okay? Even this move, you're not supposed to be looking at it in a dumb way, even though it's very dumb, but never underestimate any move that can be played by your opponent. That's why white lost after rook h1 and queen takes h1 checkmate. Hopefully this video was helpful for you, and I'll see you in another video.